Okay, let's dive right into today's explainer, where we're going to deconstruct a completely fascinating blueprint for AI-assisted visual storytelling. You know those super compelling, minimalist animation channels that just instantly grab your attention? Well, today we're literally looking under the hood at the exact instructions that make them work. So how exactly do you turn a simple, flat script into an absolute visual masterpiece? I mean, that is the million-dollar question for creators everywhere, right? We've all got ideas, but actually crossing that bridge from a boring page of plain text to a gripping visual experience, yeah, that's where most people just hit a wall. But as you'll see, we're looking at a source document today that completely solves this puzzle. What we're exploring here is a literal blueprint. It's called the Google Notebook LM Stickman Animation Blueprint. And honestly, it is an incredibly advanced prompt engineering schematic designed for the StickMinds channel. Think of it as an exact science for storytelling. The whole goal is to take a standard, time-stamped motivational script and magically transform it into precise, production-ready visual directions for Stickman animations. It essentially forces the AI to think and act exactly like a veteran Hollywood director. All right, here is our roadmap for the breakdown. We're going to follow a script through 6 crucial phases: the anatomy of the prompt, phase 1's script analysis, phase 2's visual style, psychology and visual metaphors, phase 3's scene generation, and finally, the quality check. Let's get into it. Starting right at the top with section 1, anatomy of the prompt, and understanding its core objective. Now, before any visual generation even happens, this prompt lays down a super strict rule. It tells the AI, your objective is absolutely not to rewrite the script, but to convert it into detailed visual direction. The tool is acting as an expert director, so it's not supposed to touch or edit a single one of the writer's words. Its entire job, the whole shebang, is to preserve the original pacing, the emotional progression, and the psychological impact of the script, and just translate those spoken words into really meaningful visual actions. Moving on to section 2, phase 1, script analysis, or the mental preparation. What's really fascinating here is that the AI doesn't just start spitting out images right off the bat. No way. It's forced into a rigorous mental prep, where it systematically extracts the narrative structure first. It has to break the script down into a highly specific flow: introduction, problem, explanation, psychological insight, transformation, solution, action steps, final motivation, and finally, the call to action. By forcing the AI to map all of this out logically, it pretty much guarantees that the motivational journey is actually going to make structural sense to the viewer. And it goes a step further by calculating what the blueprint calls the emotional curve. For every single section of that narrative flow we just talked about, the AI has to identify the current emotion, something like frustration or confusion, and then explicitly determine the target emotion, like hope or inspiration. This is absolutely crucial because it ensures every single visual on screen is actively working to move the audience's psychology forward from point A to point B. Okay, section 3, phase 2, visual style, setting the rules of the Stickman. Here's where we establish the visual parameters, and the definitive rule is incredibly simple: never redesign the character. The instructions strictly mandate a minimalist stick figure, which, sure, sounds easy enough to draw, but keeping it totally consistent, that is the real trick. By keeping the design perfectly basic and unchanging, the audience stops analyzing what they're looking at, and they start actually feeling why the character is moving and reacting. I've got to say, I absolutely love this next part. It's called the imperfect stickman principle. The prompt literally tells the AI, the character should feel human, occasionally trip, hesitate, pause, avoid portraying perfection. Think about that. It intentionally injects human flaws into this very rigid, basic design. It's brilliant because it maximizes relatability. As viewers, we connect so much more deeply with a character that struggles, pauses, and has to recover, rather than some robot that just effortlessly glides straight to the finish line. That brings us to section 4, psychology and visual metaphor, moving from the abstract to the concrete. This phase is where the magic really happens. It forces the AI to translate super abstract self-improvement concepts into tangible visual anchors. So instead of just showing a character standing there talking, the blueprint utilizes a visual metaphor library. For example, procrastination becomes a heavy chain dragging them down. Building habits becomes stacking bricks. Overthinking turns into a literal maze. It transforms abstract psychology into immediate visual symbols that an audience can process and internalize in just a fraction of a second. And the prompt doesn't stop with the character. It uses the background as a massive emotional tool too. It lays out clear rules for environmental storytelling. The environment absolutely must mirror the stickman's internal mindset. So if they're in a negative phase, the instructions dictate dark clouds, maybe a messy desk, or a broken ladder. But as that mindset shifts into a positive phase, the environment gradually transforms into sunlight, open windows, and mountain paths. It is such a beautifully subtle way to communicate mental progress without having to say a single word. All right, Section 5, Phase 3, Scene Generation or the Mechanical Execution. Now we see where all that intricate prep work builds into the actual frame-by-frame animation directions. The mechanical execution relies on incredibly strict pacing rules. Basically, the animation speed is dictated directly by the type of information being delivered in the script. Fast pacing is required for things like hooks, questions, lists, and statistics, keeping that energy really high when facts are being presented. But the moment the script hits an emotional realization or a heavy life lesson, the pacing has to slow way down. It completely prevents visual fatigue and makes sure those truly important lessons land with some real weight. It even includes this really clever audio synchronization setup called the emphasis system. Specific spoken keywords will actually trigger distinct camera behaviors. So if the narrator says, imagine, the animation must immediately visualize that concept. If they ask, what if, the action instantly pauses to show that exact scenario. And if they say the truth is, the prompt commands the animation to reduce movement and dead center the character, instantly zeroing in the viewer's focus. It's like a perfectly choreographed dance. Finally, Section 6, the final quality check, the payoff. Before this blueprint is finalized and shipped, it demands a really rigorous quality check. It systematically double-checks its own work. It verifies that every single narration block actually has corresponding animation, so there's absolutely no dead air. It ensures the psychological concepts are properly reinforced with meaningful imagery, and that those human imperfections we talked about earlier are definitely present. And most importantly, for the call to action, it guarantees the ending delivers a strong motivational payoff. It wants the viewer left feeling an incredible sense of momentum and an open road of possibility, rather than just hitting a brick wall at the end. This master prompt is just a true testament to the power of structured thinking. I mean, it takes this highly creative, seemingly subjective process and turns it into a concrete architectural framework that practically guarantees audience engagement. So it leaves us with a really fascinating thought. If this blueprint can map out a simple stickman's entire psychological journey from struggle to success with such pinpoint precision, what could this level of architectural storytelling visualize for your own ideas?